All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Serious Angler Podcast, powered by our friends over at X2 Power Batteries. I'm your host, Bailey Egbrett, and if you listen to the recent episode, the captain, Mr. Andy Full, is under the weather, so unfortunately, he could not join us for the episode this week. But definitely, if you have not listened to this one yet, I encourage you to go listen to the recent episode with Garrett Paquette that dropped on Wednesday. We talked about some pretty cool stuff using glide baits as search tools, how to use them efficiently as a search tool, how to use 360 in an advantage when Humminbird 360 is going to be almost better than live, and how to, when fish aren't showing up on side imaging, how that might not mean that they're just not there, but that might mean that their fish have a really great way of hiding themselves than we give them credit for. So just because you don't see fish on side imaging or things like that when you're graphing doesn't mean that there's not fish there. So if it makes sense, just go fish, use your intuition. We had some great conversation around that. Encourage you to listen to it. But on today's episode, we have on Adam Bartusek and Matt Pangrac from Bass Talk Live. You guys know Adam is an OG of the show. You know, Crappie Chronicles has built his name up there out in the Midwest, doing some really great stuff for himself and his brand. And of course, Matt is the godfather of bass fishing podcast. Well, I should really say Mark Jeffries is, but Matt is obviously right there with him in regard to he's taking Bass Talk Live to a whole nother length, different direction, and doing incredibly well with it, and paving the path for us in fishing podcasts. So well-respected dude. Love Matt, love Adam, and we're going to get them both on here, talk about their St. Jude's event and much, much more. We have a lot of fun this episode, so let's get into today's show. All right, guys, we are back here on Serious Angler Podcast, and we are back for the part 2 of the show. We have two fellows joining us here. What I'm going to do, I'm actually going to bring them on one at a time here, because I think if I bring them on both at the same time, there's going to be so much stuff going all over the place in regards to conversation. We got a bunch of fun stuff to talk about. They had a big accolade here, but also we got some catching up to do. So I think first and foremost, let's bring on one of the OGs of the Serious Angler Podcast, and then we'll bring on the his counterpart here. So first and foremost, let's bring on Mr. Adam Bartusek. What's going on, pal?
What's up, dude? It's been forever. I haven't been here in a long time. Whole screen's different. There's sponsors everywhere. This is weird.
Yeah, it's been a long time because, well, one, I think both just all busy as get out because, dude, you've blown up Crappie Chronicles. You got Past the Bar, which you've been, honestly, it's been one of my favorite shows as of late. And if people haven't started listening to Past the Bar, I highly encourage you to, because who wants to learn about bass fishing? You just want to go, BS with your buddies, and that's basically
it is not educational. It really isn't. It's all entertainment.
Yeah. Well, how has been the life in the industry, videography, traveling for tournaments? Which great finish on Kentucky Lake and St. Jude as well, that we'll get into here once we bring Matt on. But catch us up quick on life of Mr. Adam Bartusek before we bring Matt on.
Yeah, no, it's been really good lately, man. I mean, obviously the last couple of years, it's been a lot of videography, filming stuff for other people and everything. Kind of proud of the last year. After last year's Toyota that I did really good in, I kind of started just making steps to start kind of just really doing my own thing, going to film start focusing on filming my own YouTube, fishing more tournaments for myself, and just you know what I mean? Dedicating more into doing me rather than just freelance work for other people, which is great too. But just getting more that way, and kind of the more time I spend doing that, the better it goes. So it's kind of nice to kind of get that feedback. But yeah, it's been awesome, man. The Chronicles is crazy. I can't believe how big that's gotten and where we're at now, and just riding the wave, man. It's a good time. I can't complain about it.
Yeah, that's got to be a tricky road. The transition of obviously going and freelancing, but also between changing from doing work for other people to trying to make the jump to doing your own work, but also like trying to still have somewhat of a consistent paycheck. Like
Yeah.
I can understand that's
Oh,
gotta be a very
it's
tricky
weird.
direction to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very weird because it's like I could totally just go do my own thing and just like stop doing stuff for people, but it's like you developed relationships for all these years, and it's like now you're just trying to figure out how to manage it or do stuff like that. So, yeah, it's very
Yeah.
weird compared to like when you go from the leap of like not even working in the industry to like working for yourself in the industry. This is such a minor just divergence, but it feels like such a big deal, you know? So that's
Yeah.
kinda the weird part, but
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, let's bring on your counterpart here. But I say the counterpart. He's also the let's call him the goat, leading the charge here for the fishing podcast world, and a hammer in his own right, fishing the opens. We got Mr. Matt Pangrac. What's going on, sir?
That's a slight overstatement in the introduction, but I'll take it. I appreciate it. How's it going, fellas?
good.
Good, good. Appreciate you taking a night off of watching some NHL playoffs and joining.
Oh no, I got the stars. I got the stars hat on. The game starts at I think 8:30. So
we got
Blues didn't
so
make
we
the
got 32
playoffs.
minutes.
Blues didn't make the playoff. Well, no, I'm good for whatever. Blues didn't make the playoffs, so when they don't make the playoffs, I'm Dallas. I'm actually going to game 2 in Dallas on Thursday. So
That what
I'm
you
just
spent
glad
your
they
Jude
knocked out
winnings
Vegas.
on?
I know a guy.
When you're BTL, you just got people. You know, you just got the hookup.
It's just
that's
when
cool,
you
man.
when
I'm
you
just
don't
glad
quit for so many years, you just start to get to know everyone when you're too dumb to quit.
Well, dude, I got to catch up a little bit, obviously, with Bart here, but life of Mr. Matt Pangrac and running all over God's green earth between opens, doing seemingly like it with MP3 and all that. It seems like there's a new BTL every single day of the week. How are you keeping up with everything, and what's been the life of Matt lately?
Yeah, I figured we should add some more BTLs this year. So I was planning on doing them last week, but didn't. But added a day 5, which is a guide day, which has been really cool getting to know some of these guys. Like we're like in this little tournament world bubble, and there's all sorts of like different side avenues. Like you've got the whole kayak world, and Adam has the ice fishing world, and you get to know some of these guys who like. I mean, it's cool just to see how many people are super passionate about what they do. And there's a lot of guides out there that do the same thing and are like extremely talented. So kind of added that guide day, looking to do about 20, 25 additional shows this year on guide day. So, but yeah, other than that, fishing the opens, running around, I head up to South Carolina on Friday for an OBT media event. So that'll be another fun 19-hour drive. But other than that, probably the most exciting thing was I got my grass cut today, which I love cutting grass. I don't know why. Like I know Hamner like will never cut another blade of grass now the rest of his life, but like man, I love getting on the John Deere and mowing the 2 acres.
So this is actually hilarious. So I've talked to 3 people that are technically from the South today, and all 3 of them said they cut their grass today, and that was the highlight of all their days. What is it with you guys?
It's so awesome. Like this time of year, like the humidity gets down. I cracked open a Pacifico, put the earbuds in, and then I have like a couple sections that like were a little too damp to cut, but I like made like nice circles around them so it didn't look too Oklahoma-ish. And then I mean, I like opening the blinds on the front yard and then the backyard. I'm on like a little over 2 acres and just like looking out and just seeing a fresh, clean 2 1/4 inch cut.
Bart, have you hit the old man I love to cut my grass stage yet?
I do actually really enjoy cutting the grass, but for me it's because I spend 16 hours in a row in my basement editing. So like when I get to go outside, I'm like, this is nice. Like it's not my computer screen. So mine's a little bit different for that reason. I just need a break from staring at the computer. But I haven't cut my grass yet this year. I mean, spring literally just sprung in Minnesota while Panger was here. My grass is getting long, but I have to go buy a lawnmower tomorrow. We don't even have a lawnmower. We moved into this house in November. And as you
You
know,
got to
if
get
you're
a John
from-
Deere, Bart.
No, not a John Deere. No.
Why not? That's a
I grew-
classic.
I grew up on a
Yellow
pig-
and green.
I grew up on a pig farm, man. My dad was an international man. He hated John Deere. I can't get those colors. I can't
Oh,
get green.
no.
Yeah, my dad will disown me.
I
So
would
it's
have
got to be a
reconsidered
Toro
fishing
or
with
something.
you the last 3 years in the St. Jude if I'd known you were anti John Deere.
Is there just like some loyalty to a brand of tractors that I had no idea? Like, is
Yeah,
is
in
like
the farming world. Yeah, it's kind of like Yamaha, Mercury. Same thing.
So there's like
Except,
swim bait cults, but for tractors.
Yes. 100%.
Do you even have grass where you are, Bailey? Or is it like Arizona?
Yeah,
It's just so cold up there, it never grows.
So we actually been we have a whole week of 70s and 80s up here. It's gonna drop back down in the 40s later this week, but yeah, everything's blooming up here. Water temps in this almost in the 60s in most places, so everything's rocking and rolling in the north right now. But man, I want to get into your guys' tournament here in a little bit, but I talked about it a little bit with Bart, and I want to, I guess, pitch it to both of you guys, because there's all this conversation about the actual fishing part, and I'm not even going to get into that where that's at today, but want to ask you guys, kind of get your feel on where the fishing industry or outdoor industry itself is right now, where it's what with we had the COVID boom and things like that. It seemed like more jobs were being made, and now we're kind of going on this downturn. Obviously you guys have your grasp on the industry, and you're both in your different right, where Bart freelancing with videography, kind of taking a different approach, Matt being in the industry for so long, and obviously with podcasting and working with so many industry
old
people.
Guy now.
You said it. No.
Dude, he turns 40 soon. He turns 40.
Sorry, bud. Start calling you Papa Panger.
Hey, 30 to 40 happens real quick, Bart.
I know, I'm terrified.
Just
I'm
make
30.
good decisions. You make one bad decision in your early 30s, and all of a sudden you're 40.
Bart, you're the big 3-0.
Yeah. Yep. I turned 31 in August.
Oh, what day do you turn 31?
August 8th.
Oh, I mean 18th.
Look at that.
You guys just figure this out now.
Yeah. We were too busy culling this weekend to ask about birthdays.
I was too busy calling. Hanger's just flipping smallies over the side of my boat. I couldn't even cast half the day.
Well, we're gonna get into that. That's for dang sure. But I quickly want to touch on what you guys feel like the industry itself, how it is right now. Is it still in a healthy spot, or do you think it's still difficult for folks to try and get into the industry? Because that is one thing I've seen a surplus of messages for our podcast platform, as people of reaching out, asking, how they can get in the industry, how they could get a job, where to look for jobs. And I know there's always been like the stigma of it's a lot of who you know, especially in the outdoor industry, to get your foot in the door. But I definitely felt like it increased and got better through the COVID era. Do you think it's still in that state, or do you think now, like with fishing kind of on a downturn, do you think the industry's in the same regard?
Well, I would say, I guess I'll lead it off in saying, in terms of where the industry, in my opinion, like media side or whatever it is, I would just say, like, I try to, like, we have a lot of fun on Pass the Bar BS and about everything going on, and just kind of venting about certain things. But I think in the most part, we try to be positive about everything that's going on. And right now it feels like a lot of people are getting really negative, and it's getting really annoying. And I just kind of say, I don't really have issues calling certain people out, but I say, in a world of Randy Blockett's, be a Sam Sobey. I think that's very important. Be positive, try to get more people involved in the sport, have fun. Yeah, you can complain about some stuff if you want, but like if that's all you're known for, like, dude, it's just so exhausting. And this industry needs positivity right now. There's a lot of stuff changing, and it's good, and all we're getting told is it's bad. And it's not. Like, it's just, I feel like that's kind of the thing going on my side. So it makes the whole filming, like, it makes my job harder filming and trying to get really cool content out there and stuff, because you put something cool out and all anyone does is complain about it. And it's like, dude, why are we all exhausting right now? Like, we just like to go catch fish and have fun. So like, if everybody would just take a step back and realize we're all doing this to go spend time on the water, have fun, and have a few beers with our buddies, I think we'd all be in a much better place than we are currently.
Yeah. I'm going to pitch it over to you, Matt, but to your point, Bart, it definitely, I agree. I hate that the age of where I think like the Hunter Shryock motocross, highlight style content is definitely still being viewed. I just hate that there's such a high priority on controversial content nowadays, where that's what people feel like they need to put out in order to do well. But yeah, to your point, I feel that. But Matt, what do you think? How are we as an industry, not just fishing wise, but industry?
I mean, you say downturn, and I know you work with some big companies, so you have an idea, but I feel like it's more like kind of returning to normal. Like there was a spike, and now it's returning to normal, which is less than it was at the peak of the one where one of like 3 things you could do without going to jail was fish. But I think it's like, what are you guys laughing?
The way you said it was good.
True.
It's very true. One of the 3 things that you can do without going to jail. That was, yeah.
Unless you were Michigan. So I think Michigan, they said it was illegal to go to the boat ramps. You might remember that.
Yeah. We couldn't have tournaments for 2 months, but yeah.
I think it's going back more to normal. But I hate the overreaction of, like the word downturn or drop. So I think it's more of a return to the normal trajectory of fishing. And I think if there's anything I've learned over the last 5-10 years in this industry is there's a finite number of hardcore anglers and people that follow the tournament scene. And this is a much bigger world. And I've seen a little bit of it, like I said, following the Crappie Chronicles and doing day 4 with Frank Scalish, where we have a ton of people that watch that don't fish tournaments, have no desire to fish tournaments. They don't have anything against tournaments. They just want to learn how to catch more fish. So it's like super easy to just focus on the minute stuff that's going on in the industry and seeing it as negative. But in my opinion, I don't think there's ever been a better opportunity to get in the industry and have a platform to build your brand. Adam is a perfect example of this. The Crappie Chronicles didn't exist 4 years ago. I went up to Minnesota because I had Sam Sobey on the show and I talked about wanting to go ice fishing, and Adam reached out and is like, hey, I ice fish. If it doesn't work out, like, hey, come up, blah, blah, blah. I'd known a couple people who knew him. I rolled up there. He was starting a new series, and look at what that is now. It's an absolute monster in the ice fishing industry. And that's something that he started by going out on his own with no one else around him and creating a viable business for himself and for Pink and Griff and Waldo and the people around him. Like, I've seen the multi-million-dollar companies that are banking on that brand that he created over the last 3 or 4 years. So if you have a unique idea, the drive and the passion to do it, I think now is a great time to get into it, because before, I mean, you were either an outdoor rider, you were a tournament angler, or you worked for one of the organizations. Now there are so many different avenues in which you can make a living in this industry, as long as you're open-minded and you're willing to work your ass off and you're willing to spend some years in the trenches without giving up on it. So I think it's a great time to get into the industry, and like all the little negative stuff that's happening in the tournaments and what's going on like that, I think that's like noise. That's on the inside. Like all that goes on in motocross and in golf and in tennis and in every single sport. Like we turn it on and watch it and we just don't care about it. We just hear about it and it seems like it's magnified because we live it every single day. So there's my take on it.
Yeah. No, I would agree. And like with what Matt said, I think in terms of a time to get into the industry, like he said, there's never been a better time. And that's like I kind of mentioned earlier. I mean, I'm looking at like focusing more on tournaments and stuff, but like people ask me a lot why I don't film tournaments. And for me, it's like, I mean, dude, this is a prime thought process for me, right? I have nothing wrong with people who film tournament videos. I think some of them are great, but like there's so many of them now that like, if I'm going to focus my energy on something filming, I'm going to do something else. that's creative and cool. And I have a bunch of other ideas and stuff you can go do. There's so many avenues of content and different things to put out there. And Bailey, remember during COVID when we had a few podcasts and we talked about this, like it felt like everybody was starting a podcast and starting a YouTube channel. Dude, there's like not many that made it out. There's like nobody left. If you really think about it, or like they got bigger, they did it for a bit and then it dissolved, and maybe they come back for a little bit and then they don't give it full effort. Like if people want to go in and do it and give it full effort, like I know Sobe and I were talking about this, for example, the other day. Like, dude, there's like 5 big YouTube fishermen in Minnesota and Wisconsin. That's it. Like, there's really not that many. So it's like there's tons of opportunities there for everyone to get after it. And like we said, right now it feels like maybe the fishing industry is a little negative. It's that tournament side. And that's where I just look at, a lot of guys I've looked up, guys and women I've looked up to for a long time in this industry, and say, hey, how about, let's get back to being leaders. Because right now it feels like we have a lot of people not being very good leaders.
Listen, I'll say this too. I've basically went to every single Elite Series tournament. I did go to every single Elite Series tournament, like 80% of FLW tournaments from 2008 to 2017. Like right at the boom of social media, right? But like the stuff that happened and stuff, and then you talk to the guys in the generation before that, that is top level competition. Like that stuff has been going on since Ray Scott had the first freaking tournament with Bass. Like there has been conflict and rules violations and it's part of the process. That's why you have all of these checks and balances in it. It's just now in 2024 and basically for the last 3 or 4 years that everyone has an outlet to make that public. Or if someone wants to make it public, they know someone who has an outlet who feels like it's their responsibility to make that public. Like that stuff went on in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Dads fishing for their kids who win major tournaments and people hole sitting and buying information down to like all this stuff has gone on since the dawn of tournaments. It's just now there's an avenue for it to be talked about. And if you think about how much of the stuff when it first comes out is big, and oh my gosh, can you believe that happened? Dude, we forget about that crap the next week because something else happens. And it's just this vicious cycle of thing after thing after thing right now. And I think that's kind of where you guys are talking about, to the point where it's like if you're chasing the clicks and the views, you lose the heart of the content.
Yes.
And
yeah, it's just exhausting.
and it gets exhausting because you're always looking for the next thing. So I think it's very easy to find negative stuff because there is a bunch more negative stuff. There's just a bunch more negative stuff that was kept in the locker room because there wasn't an outlet for it in the past. Like I remember, some of the big things, it's either a DQ or a major penalty, and that's the only way you would hear about it. We're hearing about every little thing that goes on right now. And that stuff has gone on since the beginning of time in every single top level competitive individual sport in the history of Earth.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's nail on the head. That's why people think it's the biggest thing now, just because social media. That's why it just seems. Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't mean to go down that much of a rabbit hole, but I appreciate your guys' viewpoints on it greatly. And so I think that was good. But I want to get into a more lighthearted conversation now, and how was your guys' dub for the St. Jude event? First I want to get to your guys' tournament itself, but Bart, talk a little bit about that event, and then I think I saw was it now the lifetime for that event? Did they hit 8 million raised for that?
7.5.
Yeah, I think it's 7.5. I don't think we hit 8 yet.
That'll be next year.
Yeah. But yeah, the event, Pangrac can chime into this too now that he's
Listen, I'll tell you everything I know about the event. Bart found him, I caught him. End of story. So if you have any questions in the tournament about like the actual catching of the fish, ask me the question. Anything else, direct that question to Bart.
Yes. For the most part, yeah. No, but the actual for the actual St. Jude event, like it's a super cool tournament, man. Like you should come out and do it sometime. It's just such a great cause, and now that everybody can see kind of what's going on with Miles Berghoff and his daughter Riley, like I think it hits home a lot more. People realize like where the dollars are actually going to, because they can see someone in their own community like being positively affected by the St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. And Matt and I got to go there in November. It's a crazy, crazy place. It's very weird to be in a hospital that, there's like an opportunity for so much negativity and sadness and just bad things to happen. But every step you take around, there's positivity, excitement, and just like joy. It's very interesting to be there. So it makes you want to work harder to fundraise for it. So that's where this event is so cool. Like people say it. I mean, I totally like agree with it. There's a fishing tournament going on, but there's also an event. And like, I would say the last, every year I've fished it till this time, for me, it's always been about, the fundraising and the event and everything. And you hear a lot of people say it on stage of like, oh, it's all about the fundraising and everything. I will say once you kind of all of a sudden are in the heat of like, I might win it. It feels like there's a tournament and an event going on, like two separate things.
There's definitely
like all
a
of a
part
sudden
where
there's
you're like,
separate
the
things
fundraising
going
is
on.
nice, but you know what's nice? Fundraising and winning.
Yes. there is a moment where that hits and you're like, okay, like, yeah, we should probably, yeah. So, yes, it is great. And like, that's, the nice thing is for all the years that, haven't won, or finished, however, it's like, well, whatever, get a small check, and we did it for a great cause. And it's always a great way to kick off the year. This year was a little bit more different. And I think, it turned out awesome, but the event itself is incredible. I think Matt would attest to, he's been to probably almost every tournament across the country. And you said it's the best one you've ever been to in terms of how it's ran.
Yeah, bar none. Just the ease of like rolling up and every little detail is taken care of. Professional feel to it, the media that goes along with it, the announcers, the big script, like everything it is legitimately on par. It is actually not on par. It is better than an Elite Series launch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like no doubt, like they have
there was
way
a flyover
more.
on
There's
day
a
two.
flyover.
We had
There's
a
big
flyover
screen
this
TV.
year.
There's multiple free food. The way everything works, it is. I'm trying to think. I've been to everything. It is the best and smoothest takeoff. Like the whole experience from the time you arrive to that ramp to the time you take off. I have not found a better one in the country. And that's aside from the fundraising or anything. That's just strictly judging like tournaments.
Yeah, I would tell you the only inconvenience in the morning is on day 2. Normally, Corey Houck will walk up to me at about 6:00 and go, "Hey, Matt left your truck running again."
I've done that 2 years in a row now, but your truck sounds like a freaking golf cart, Adam. Like you can't hear it. Like you don't even know
Ram
it's on.
1500. Like
okay,
it's not.
In all fairness, it's a Ram 1500, but it has one of those freaking dials and a push button.
He literally
I got the same thing. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but dude, like the last 2 years, I've had my buddy Corey's won 4 St. Jude's.
3.
But he walked up to me again this year and he goes, "Hey, just for the record, your truck's running."
So next year, I have to leave your truck running now.
We didn't win it the year before when you did it. That's not a superstition thing. It's more of just annoying because I have to walk all the way back over there because you park separate.
Sounds like the only variable that was different for you guys is Matt was the only one fishing this year.
Matt Matt fished this year. He fished a lot harder than the year before.
I was not feeling it last year. Plus, it was OU
shit.
Texas week.
That was obvious. Feet kicked up, sitting passenger seat watching the OU game.
Well, it was if you had found a group, I would have started fishing.
Yeah, in the tournament.
I was just
trying to bounce around,
saving
trying
it
to
for
run
this
into
year.
some fish. Yeah, he did. He saved it for this year. He worked hard this year.
That's awesome.
But in
Like
terms
Bart
of the
was
way
so
the
dialed in.
yeah, in terms of the way the tournaments ran, it's unbelievable. And like the timing of everything's so good. Like when you go to like you finish practice and everything, and like the event hasn't really started yet, you would say. But then you go to like the registration dinner, which Matt wasn't there yet this year because he was flying there from the Bassmaster Open. But like you go there, you like get to the registration dinner, have a beer, you start talking to people, and like that's kind of the start of the event. From that moment on, you are like in that event for the next like 56, 72 hours. Yeah, 48 hours, whatever it is, you are like in the event because then you go home, you go to bed, you drive to takeoff in the morning, you weigh in. You have 45 minutes to re-rigger your odds. Now you're going to the banquet. The banquet lasts until 8:30 or 9. Okay, you go back, pull your boat in, show up to the ramp to launch again, and you're going like it's a whirlwind of a weekend. But it's so moving and just well run. It is such a well-oiled machine. It's unreal.
So it's better than Matt, to your point, like better than an Elite Series launch. Like, is it in regard to the spectacle of it, or just the fact of how smooth,
Just
like
the entire, like everything? Like, I mean, the Elite Series runs like a well-oiled machine, but like I'm just talking about like they have the big screen and Fat Cats there, and they had the flyover. They have biscuits and gravy for you and pastries and literally like they're being made right there for you. And you roll up and there's someone that tells you like what line to get in, and then someone else gives you your chip, and then someone else checks you in, and then you get backed in, and then someone else drives you in a golf cart. You never have to wait for it. Like it's all like there's not a single minute of like chaos at all. Like it's all just so perfect and smooth, and everybody has a place to park, and the way they do it is a little funky with like, you know, the top 10 go out based on how much they've earned every single year, but then they like wait 20 minutes for the next flight and then 20 minutes for the next flight, and they have it like up on the big screen as to what the flights and everything are, and then just the whole thing, it's just incredibly easy. Like if you've never done it before, like the first time I did it, it was just like, holy cow, like they got this thing dialed. Like every tournament organization needs to do it this way, but then you realize you can't because it takes 50 volunteers and 26 years of doing it to make it run as smooth as it does.
Yeah. It's very incredible.
That's freaking cool. Is there a cap to how many boats, or is it just
100?
And that the field is never filled.
It'll be filled next year. I promise you. There'll be a wait list next year.
I hope so. But yeah, it's never actually filled. Normally it's 70 to 85 boats is typically what I see. People get scared of the fundraising minimum. That's what it is. People get scared of the fundraising minimum and the Mississippi River. And
so the fundraising deal is the tournament entry fee is what, $500, Adam?
I think it's 400 now.
But then you have to raise $5,000 for St. Jude in order to be eligible for the top first place prize, which, as Adam and I know, is $25,000. So, but then it goes like if you we raised the eighth most, we raised $30,000. What, Corey raised like 78,000 this year?
Yeah, Corey was first with 78.
Insane. Yeah. So like they were first both days. So the rest of the field inverts. But if you're in top 10 in fundraising,
no, the rest of the field does not invert.
Oh, it stays the same.
Wrong. No, so the rest of the field from 11 on is based off weights on day one.
Oh, okay, it's based off weights, but the top
10 just stays the same both days.
So we were 8 both
top
days.
10 fundraising,
which is like a fantastic idea. Because everybody, it's like so competitive, and then everybody knows how important the draw is the first week of May on the river. So like you're making money for a St. Jude, but it's also like to beat the other teams because there's a running tally of what it is, and you know it's going to help you in the tournament. So it's like a win, win, win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's freaking cool. What I'm thinking is, because you said it hasn't capped yet, it'd be cool. So if it capped next year, would that be the first year it's capped?
It'd be the first. I've never seen it go to 100 boats. I don't believe it ever has. I could be wrong. I'd have to ask Gretchen or Matt Hall or someone who's been there forever, but I don't think it's ever filled.
It'd be cool.
I would imagine it's going to fill next year, though. I feel like there's a lot of publicity behind it. It's driving really
Matt
good
Steffen
now.
just dropped an entire video on it.
Yeah,
Miles is dropping videos on it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on now.
I think it'd be pretty cool to try to get more, get more creators involved on that. Like maybe, because that's one thing Andy and I were talking about trying to do this year was one, that the St. Jude's, but also the Blackfish Classic, things we want to try to get the podcast involved in. It'd be kind of cool to do a little side pot next year and have, obviously you got BTL, Pass the Bar, we get Serious Angler involved, we get like, Andrew Hayes from Tackle Talk, have a little podcast side pot for fundraising, make some little side competition off of it. But then you can get creators, involved, some guys that are like YouTube wise that one can bring their following into it, that they get the views from, making content around the event, but also the event benefits from it. It'd be kind of cool to make some side competition.
Did you say Wheelers fished it? Fighters fished it?
Yeah, Wheelers fished it a couple years. Fighters fished it. Fighters almost won it. Wheelers almost won it. I don't know if Downey's fished it before.
They just didn't have what it takes, Bailey, to actually,
It's a hard tournament to win. It is a very hard tournament to win.
So what you're saying is technically you guys are better than Wheeler and Fighter.
I did not say that.
I think that's what
Matt
Adam said
that.
when we caught that 6 fish. He literally looked at this guy and he yelled, "I am better than Jacob Wheeler."
No. I looked up at the sky and I said, "Damn it, my Bubba scale died."
Oh, is that before or after you yelled Seth who?
That stash ain't got shit on me.
No, the whole second day we called with a inaccurate scale.
Well, till the end of the day,
we were like, wait a second, this doesn't look like we were like, this fish is clearly bigger than this other one.
Yeah. I'm going back to the Rapala touchscreen.
I'm going back to the balance beam.
Yeah, that did work.
Well, I'm so old that technology has passed me by. I balance beam them.
Yeah, well, that balance beam was very good. It turned out we won by 1 3/4 pounds, but yeah. Yeah.
You don't have the old metal scale, Matt? The one that just gives you 6, 7, 8 on the lines.
Yeah. No, I just do the balance beam.
I think it would be great, Bailey, to get if you want to fish it next year, then it would conflict, but to some level of like a live stream or a podcast going on site. I know Matt interviewed Bonema the one year, but like just getting more media involved of like showing what is so special about this, because I think that's one thing Matt would add to it is there's a lot more big fishing companies, I think, that are going to want to get involved over the years and all that. But I think the most important thing about this tournament and keeping it the way it is the small town feel of it. And like, it is a bunch of just like local dudes and like it's their big tournament of the year. Like you see 17-foot Lunds with a 75 horse on it fishing this tournament. You see guys in flat bottom tillers and you go, dang it, they're going to get to a backwater I can't get to.
The hardest part about this tournament to me is growing it and raising more money for St. Jude, which is what the ultimate goal is, along with raising awareness of St. Jude, without losing what makes this tournament special, without corporatizing it, without taking it out of Wabasha, without having it, because as a hardcore tournament angler, like it is a special event with a lot of people. And what has made it special is the dedication of the 50 teams that have fished it for 15 or 20 years. And as you start bringing outside influences in, it's easy to change that. So you have to keep that feel for it, because that banquet, that experience is what makes the teams want to work all year to raise the money for it, to raise awareness for it. So the challenge is to simultaneously grow it, expand it, and make it bigger, while still maintaining the core of what makes it special, which is the people, the setting, and the atmosphere.
Yeah, and the banquet is something that I think to some level of getting it, whether it's like live streamed or broadcast
that
or
needs to
whatever
be
it could be,
streamed 100%.
that could be a thing, because there is, I mean, like Matt's been there 3 times now, but I think he would even say like you don't see a grown man walk out of that banquet without like tears they're wiping off their like face. Like everybody cries.
Like I can legitimately say I've teared up twice in the past 10 years. It's at 2 of the 3 banquets I've been to for the St. Jude. Like I am like just an emotional brick. Like, and I mean, I do not cry. And that, like, I teared up at this past one.
Dang.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
And
heavy.
I think just people knowing how important it is. I'm trying to I'll find it and I'll get it out there. But Miles gave just an incredible speech on stage day 1.
Oh, yeah, that was legendary.
It was so good, and I need to find it and get it out so everybody sees it. But it's just, you can feel like the weight of how important that event is to so many people when you're there. And that's what makes it so special.
And I legit have not come across a team in the past 3 years at the banquet that is like pissed off at how they fished. Like you can't tell at that banquet or anything whether you had 2 pounds or 22 pounds. Like everyone understands what they're there for.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is awesome in regard to people can put aside the competition aspect and just understand what priority number 1 is. I think that honestly speaks louder than anything else that I've heard from the atmosphere of the event. Like, yeah, it might be a cool spectacle, but I think the fact that anglers, in being as competitive as they are, if they can still keep the event in St. Jude's priority number 1 over that speaks very loud to me.
But I'll also say this, the competition is incredibly intense, and the talent level in that field is through the roof with the best river sticks from Wisconsin and Minnesota and all around that. So like, it's not like, oh, let's just go see, like, guys want to freaking catch him in that event is from what I've seen. Like guys like base their whole year around trying to catch him in that event.
Yeah. And like Panger's seen, like, you can't screw up. Like it's a 2-day event that with 6 fish, and you literally can't screw up because the weights are so tight.
I never understood the 6 fish thing. This was the first year that I finally get the 6 fish thing, because you're a northern guy, Bailey, you get it, but like there's a big difference between 5 3.5 pounders and 6 3.5 pounders. Big difference.
Yeah.
And it's up north just because there's so many damn fish that are 3 pounds.
Yeah.
But there's not that many that are 3.5 to 4.5.
It takes away, like, what 6 fish does is, say you have 4 3s and then you catch a 5 3/4. It takes away that luck factor of one giant fish. Like, you got to catch a bag, because like you can't have a 2-pounder at the bottom of your bag. Like those guys, those top teens, they don't have a little one.
Yeah. I mean, what do we average? 3.56 a fish?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we weighed in, I mean, my scale was all screwed up, but Panger, you would say what? Maybe 3 over 4? 4 over 4? We had a largemouth that was probably over 4, and
I know. I think we had 3 over 4 the first day and 2 over 4 the second day. We weighed in 5 fish over 4 pounds. 5 of our 12.
Yep, I would agree with that.
Because we had a better average on Sunday. Saturday we had a couple 3-pounders that we weren't able to get up to that like 3.5.
Yeah, because that was a strategy on day 1.
Because we had the 2 big largies and the big smallie on the first day. And the second day we had 2 big smallies.
Yep, true.
Was this something that guys are like practicing for days for leading up, or do they have like a cutoff?
You can practice as long as you want. There's guys that'll practice like not like a week or 2 straight. Because the one thing that's nice about this tournament is, dude, this is at a time of year. The Mississippi River is the most volatile and changing fishery, in my opinion, in the country. it changes so rapidly each day, so quickly, that even if you're there practicing for a week, like I told Panger, I practiced for 4 days and was fully prepared to throw everything out the window. And I had a game plan, but I had a game plan of stuff like some of the spots I didn't even fish. I was just like, yeah, we're going there. And he was like, how do you know? Like, he started looking at me on, it was either towards the end of day 1 or day 2. He looked at me and he said, did you catch any here in practice? And I'd look at him and I'm like, no. I'm like, we're just going to roll through here quick or whatever it is. But like, I think he got that there was kind of a method to the madness because it's just, there's so much changing. You're at a spring transition where, dude, these fish will pull up in like a couple hours. Like,
wow.
Panger and I were watching fish pull up next to us. Like, dude, we were legitimately, like, Matt would attest to this. Day 2, we are raptored down trying to catch this fish, and we keep chucking at it, and like we can literally like see the bank next to us, and we've been throwing at this fish for 15 minutes, and he looks over and he goes, "That wasn't there." Flips at it, 3 1/4. Literally pulled up, made a bed next to us while we were fishing for a different.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's insane. So this is all timing then.
100% timing. It's a huge timing tournament, which makes it super fun because you're just like, dude, all day you're just like, maybe this
or super frustrating
or very frustrating because if you get in a bad rotation, you are screwed. But like this year, you're in a good rotation and you're just like checking spots. You're seeing what's, happening, where they're pulling up. And yeah, I mean, at the end of day 1, we pulled into an area and it was going down. Like, it was like, yeah, this is happening now.
It was a perfect team tournament. Like, I fished a bunch of team tournaments with a bunch of different partners over the years. And every once in a while, you just have one of those that clicks. And in my experience, it's one guy who's making the decisions, who's dialed in. You're both fishing good. And there's just a couple key, like, Bart had a game plan. He was rolling. I said, dude, if it crosses your mind, go with it. I'm not going to question it. And then he had a couple key decisions that he asked what my opinion was on it. And I think the only one I gave you was I didn't want to lock on day 2.
Yeah. And that I was 50-50 on it because we had got up to like 19 1/4. And I had a bunch of stuff to run on both pools. And the only reason one of the biggest reasons I was debating locking down was the only fish we lost on day 1. I'm pretty sure was on a bed, and it was we thought it was close to 4. And Matt,
I never saw it. I like leaned into it and it just broke, but it rolled.
So like we were guessing, but once again, we knew we were in contention, and like 4-pounders are so valuable on the Mississippi River that I told him, I'm like, dude, I'll run an hour for a 4.
God, he badgered me. How big do you think it was? Did you see it? Are you sure? I'm like, dude, no, I'm not willing to run 25 minutes and lock for a fish.
And then he said that, and I was like, okay, seconds. We won't do it. I said, we won't do it. And then we didn't do it. We went and then him saying he didn't want to do it, I said, fine, we're going to go check here. I still ran to a spot towards the lock because in the back of my head, I was like, I might still want to lock.
Like, it was one of those deals.
And we got to the spot, but then we ran into a guy I know, Brent Hames, who's fished 2 classics, or a classic and 2 Bassmaster Nation championships. I can't remember. But either way, he's very good. He's won a ton of stuff on the river. He won the Jude last year, actually. And I ran into him at noon. And him and Matt looked at me and they said, how are you doing? And we were like, good. Like, we got 6. We're working on a decent bag. And they were like, we have 1 fish. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, we have 1. We can't get bit. And then another guy who's insanely good came ripping around the corner to fish where we were. And then he left. And they were like, well, if he's back here, then he's doing bad too. And I looked at Panger and I said, pick up our stuff. We're going to run. We got to go the other way. And he like looked at me. He's like, why? I'm like, because something happened down here and I don't know what it is. And we don't have time to mess with it. And then we picked up and we ran like 30 miles the other direction.
Like, this is how it worked. Like, he would make a good decision. And since I didn't practice because I was at the Open, I didn't know what the hell he was full. So we'd roll into an area and he'd go, there's a fish around here. Like, this happened multiple times. And I would just bomb a cast out and be like, oh, I got it.
I didn't get a catch like anything.
Every single time where we like rolled up or we're fishing, he would be like, we got one here. And before he could even get set up, I would catch it. And then he'd be like, okay, well, maybe that wasn't it. And then he'd be like, nope, that was it. Like, it was nuts. Like,
and then we'd look around maybe a bit more and catch one, or like we caught a couple random upgrades.
There were a couple there was one deal, the coolest deal, like Bart called me during practice and he's like, I got this deal that I think we can catch a couple good ones, but it's not my forte, but I think it's something you do at Grand. And he told me what it was. And I said,
you can talk about this with details. That's fine.
I can't tell. All right.
Yeah.
He had two fish behind a walkway in a marina, but it was a walkway you couldn't get to. So it was a 6-foot marine. It was a 6-foot walkway and you could see the fish behind the walkway, or Bart could see the fish in practice. We happened to fish for him during a lightning and torrential downpour, so I never got to see him. And he was like, do you like know how to get those fish out? And I was like, yeah, we do that on freaking Grand all the time in the marinas. So I specifically brought a reel for 2 fish. And I rigged it up for 2 fish. I said, you got the biggest, heaviest, nastiest flipping stick you got. And you just do like manly stuff with them back there. So we roll up. It's like the perfect walkway, but it's like a little bit angled in to where it's like you can't get an angle on the flip. Like you literally have to bang them off the dock, on top of the dock, drag them across and into the boat.
I'm telling you,
it's a nightmare
situation.
And so
it is not.
He's like, I think there's one here, or he's like, does he see it? He said, there's one here and there's one here. So I'm flipping. I'm like, I don't see it. And it goes donk and starts swimming. So I just freaking KO it. And the first one was just like clockwork. Fish comes up, bounce it off the dock into the bottom of the boat, 3.5 pounder. So then the back one was 20 feet away from the first one. So I just switched spots. So Bart just is watching me, like not even fishing. And I'm
what
like,
am I gonna do? There's nothing for
and
me
I'm
to
like,
do in here.
I'm like looking, and I like see, I can see the second fish, and like 5 minutes in, it bites, and I jack it, and I get it hung up in the bottom of the dock, so it's like up out of the water, like dangling. It's like a 4.5 pounder, and like probably 4.25. Yeah. And it comes off, and I'm like, crap. And then there's a boat like right down the way, so it saw that whole thing. So now Bart's like, well, we can't leave it because they'll come over here. And it's like one of our biggest fish of the entire week. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, I screwed that up. And I get it to bite like 20 minutes later. And I just crack it as hard as I can. And it comes up to jump, but it's like in an awkward position. So I just like grab the rod and do this. And it comes up and then it comes off in midair. And it just lands on the walkway and just starts doing like the... And it's just flopping on the walkway, and without like any hesitation. So like without any hesitation, I like drop to my knees and just fall. Like my knees are in the boat, and I just like fall on the fish and then like rake into the boat. and we get it. Like, dude,
it's like, so I got it.
When I grabbed this fish on the dock, I put my hand in its mouth, and I've never had a fish like rake my thumb. Like, I don't know if you can see this, but look how jacked up my thumb is from that fish.
Holy moly. Yeah. Is that bruised?
Yeah. That's from that largemouth on the dock. Like when I grabbed it, he just clamped as hard as she could on it. And then like I like when I went to grab it like this, I like raked my thumb out of her mouth and like just completely torched my thumb, but we got it. So like, I mean, that was like 20 minutes that he had found 2 fish in practice. And then like, he just sat there and watched, but it was the perfect team event. Like I said,
like, don't discount the fact of I was bait boy. So after he screwed it up, we had to alternate through quite a few baits.
Oh, so yeah. So I would be like, do you have a lizard? No,
Like,
I'd be like, do
no,
you
digging
have
through.
a white speed craw? Yes. Do
Just
you
start throwing
have a
stuff to 'em.
bluegill Kitech? Yeah. I think I ended up,
I think it was
lost.
a bluegill Kitech.
Yeah. So I lost it on a rage craw. And then I ended up getting it to bite the second time on a 3.8 bluegill Kitech on a Texas rig.
Yeah. And then,
throw this,
and then we go around the corner.
I would say, yeah. Then,
and Bart's like,
then
there
we
was
go
one
around the
swimming
corner.
around here somewhere that looked like a big one. And I literally go, you mean this one? And it was like our second biggest fish of the week.
Once again, I haven't even casted yet. I just told him it was somewhere over here swimming.
Like, I've never seen anyone with such a good game plan. Like, dude, like he had it dialed in. And then like his buddy was like, dude, we rolled in and all those fish were gone. And Bart was like, yeah, we already caught them. Like Bart's timing was like so dialed in.
Panger, the one thing in the docks, we'll go back to that, but the one thing on the docks that we're leaving out on this was by far the most badass part of it, of Panger putting on a clinic, was we go do this. Like, he hooks this fish, loses it, swings on it like 6 times as it's pulling pinchers off of baits and stuff. This other boat was in that area, pulled down, bait on a bed, waiting for a fish to eat it. We caught the one. Set the hook, lost the one, set the hook 4 times on it, then eventually got it, flip it over, go around to the other one, get it. I look at them, I'm like, well, we're done. They're just still sitting on the other one, and they haven't even moved yet. And we're like, okay, let's leave.
And that was all.
And they watched the whole thing happen. And then I'm like, all right, we'll get out of there.
And then your buddy comes in to try to catch those fish 30 minutes after we left.
I think it was a little later than that. But yeah, I talked to him at weigh-in. He looked at me and he's like, I went in here. I had a couple big ones. And I went in there and someone must have grabbed them. I looked at him and was like, yeah, they're in my picture. I weighed them in. And he looked at me. He's like, what? How'd you find those? I was like, I found them on Friday. I was like, I don't know. They were just chilling there. I figured I should grab them.
Awesome.
They were big. So
but it took you how many years to actually kind of loosely understand how these things move? Because that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't understand. I would never have guessed with the water temps and what was going on that they I've never seen fish just go, okay, let's go. And they literally go. It's the wildest thing. Like, if you don't understand that, there's no way you have a chance in this thing.
Yeah, all the conditions were lining up, in my opinion. And I just banked on it, man. And what I did differently this year than previous years was, and I think it was a huge part of our success, was instead of me running around just trying to find more new smallmouth areas and more new things like that, I really just buckled down and was like, I'm going to find some largemouth. I'm not picky about how I find them, like whether they're on beds, whether they're on a grass line, whether they're, whatever. I just want to find some largemouth that I don't think are going to leave because the water's coming up 2 feet over the next 4 days. And I focused a lot on that. And I really didn't focus that hard in practice until the last day on looking for smallmouth. I would go through an area and spend maybe 20, 30 minutes there and just see how it was laying out, and more of just trust my instincts of this is what it looks like. This is what the water temps are. And instead of fishing it thoroughly and then getting my confidence jacked up, I just kind of went through and was like, okay, yeah, it's getting ready, and then like Pangrac, I mean, the area Miles spent basically his whole tournament in. I was there on Thursday for a substantial amount of time, and there was one smallmouth on a bed. That was it. I looked the whole area. Miles got there at 11 a.m. on Friday. He found over 100 on beds in less than 24-hour change.
And that was probably our biggest smallmouth that we weighed in that day. And the only reason we caught it was because you were taking a leak.
Yeah, I was taking a leak. We were about to leave. Panger chuck a worm into a boat lift dredge. There was one pre-spawned in it.
While Bart was taking a leak, he goes, "Get up there and make a couple casts. I got to take a leak." I said, "Okay." I mean, like, I was
check
done
at this.
and just
Yeah,
fired
like
it.
check
And I
at
was like,
this old boat at this.
I was like, I got a big
podcast.
one. And he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
When things just flow, man, you know, you get in that rhythm, like it's just subconscious. You kind of just
Hey,
roll with it.
You know what I would like to watch? I would watch this. I would like to see a team tournament kayak derby and a double yak where you got to fish.
Like the unicycle or
You
like
gotta
the tandem
fish.
bicycle.
You got to put
But in
two
the
people
kayak.
in the same yak.
You know what would make that better? You make it like the old days where it's the two guys in the same boat fishing against each other, though.
I think it would be good with the team, but you guys have to face opposite directions. So, like, you're in the yak one way and he's in the yak the other way, so you really can't talk that much.
That would be entertaining. That'd probably make for some chaos.
Dude, you could totally start the team kayak tournament series.
That would be quite interesting.
You could get some places twice as fast. You guys could just be both pedaling.
So you're saying going from 5 miles per hour to a whopping 7? You're saying,
yeah,
we're putting them on plane now.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, is there anything else on the St. Jude's you think that people need to know about? Any highlights coming out of that, and maybe anything leading into next year, if there even is any information available yet?
Yeah, next year's event will be May 2nd through 4th. It's the first weekend of May every year, barring river flooding. So sometimes it gets postponed a week, or normally it's never a week. Normally it's like 2 weeks or a month if it's flooded bad. But I think lately they've just been pushing it to the fall if it floods. So, yeah, I think, like I said, it's an event everybody should fish. There were, Matt, how many teams were there this year? Because I heard about it on BTL, like 2 or 3?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah. So anybody can come from wherever. It's a great place. The community's phenomenal. And it's super fun. I mean, you're going to catch fish. Like, it's a Mississippi River. Going to catch fish. I know day 2 was really tough on a lot of people, which I was honestly very surprised about. But it's a great fishery and you'll have a great time. And I just don't think there's a better way to kick off the tournament. I know like Pangra's been fishing opens and stuff for months now, but up north, it's like kind of the kickoff of the tournament season. I just don't think there's a better way to kick it off.
Yeah, well, especially when you're getting out of the old Midwest winter. I think people need that little bit of revival, if you will. But no, that's pretty dang cool, man. Would definitely love to see more, like we were talking about earlier, more outlets, media talk about it in that regard. Definitely is on a bucket list for Andy and I to get over there and fish too. Can make some fun out of it. A little side pot next year. But I think one thing that's cool that you hit on briefly, but I wanted to at least go back on and give some props to, is not only the money you guys raised for it, but you said 2 to 3 teams got into it because of what you guys done in BTL. So that means at the very least you helped raise another 15 grand because it's a $5,000 minimum, right?
Well, it's a 500 minimum to fish. It's $5,000 minimum to getting the like double payout. Basically, there's different incentive payout scales on their website that you can see based on how much you fundraise. I think there's 2 different multipliers. So at the bare minimum, you have to fundraise $500, but then you get a certain payout multiplier. I believe it's for like 1,500. And then if you go over $5,000, it affects like the top 5 payout basically. And you get the 25,000 for first. And yes, there are people who have won it who did not fundraise the $5,000 for that. And it's always very sad seeing them stand up there with like an only $7,500 check instead. So it's not hard to fundraise $5,000. It seems like a lot, but register, make some plans, and people are very willing to give money to St. Jude. They're very willing to do it.
There's a ton of information on it. You can just Google Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic. Website pops right up. They do a really good job of updating and giving a lot of information and stuff on that tournament.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, kudos to you guys, one on the dub, but also all the fundraising money you guys went forth for St. Jude's. That's nothing to balk at. That's something to be pretty proud of, boys.
What are we shooting for next year, Adam?
Well, you said 100.
That was in the moment.
If we got 50, I'd be really pumped.
Yeah, let's shoot for 50K next year.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass, boys.
Yeah, we'll see if we can do it.
Well, hell yeah.
Would that 50, 80? No, let's do it to where we raise 100 in the first four. So that'd be like we did 30, 40.
Yeah, we need like
53, 55,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty baller. I'd say you could do it.
You can do it. Yeah. I mean, dude, there's so many ways to fundraise the money. It is.
Like, can you literally
get a
start
sponsor?
Right now?
Yeah. If you get a sponsor to sponsor the event for next year, they go to your fundraising total. The whole deal. There's
like
so
the
many
majority of our funds this year, like Adam donated a portion of all of his subscriptions for his Feet Finder account.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking outside the box, boy.
Yeah.
You're talking about creativity in the industry earlier. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Got to pay the bills.
You just got your brand logos on your toenails. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Got my sponsors.
Yeah.
This exfoliation session brought to you by.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, boys, I got a little fun little game here to wrap this thing up. Just a little this and that. I don't know if you guys have ever played it before, but basically, I'm gonna give you we're gonna do rapid fire. So I'll give you two different things. You pick one of them. We'll go with Bart and then Matt. It's kind of like a rapid fire, but if you want to expand, by all means, it's your guys' show. But some little fun banter to wrap things up, and then we'll call the show a night. But a little bit of this or that. So we'll start off simple here, fishing wise. We'll just do casting or spinning.
Spinning.
Matt? Coffee or energy drinks?
I have to have coffee.
Yes, both. I'll do coffee and energy drinks if you can't tell.
So you want this and that? Okay.
This and that.
This and that. Podcast or music? Coffee. Okay.
Podcast.
100% music.
You don't even listen to any other podcasts.
I don't listen to any podcasts. I'll listen to occasionally, like if it's just like as much as I hate it, like if it's a salacious one, I'll listen to a portion of it. Like, but I'll listen to just like the actual portion. Like I just don't listen to podcasts.
I'm surprised that you're not like a Spittin' Chicklets guy.
I'll listen to a little bit of it. Listen to it at times. Like if there's a specific, if they got like, a blast from the past, like I listened to all the Wayne Gretzky, like Spittin' Chicklets stuff. I like the locker room stories and stuff like that. Like I really like the, didn't Ty Domi do a Spittin' Chicklets deal like last year? Like I'll listen to some of the Spittin' Chicklets stuff. Like if there's one I listen to, it's probably Spittin' Chicklets.
Have you, total sidebar, but bringing up Gretzky, have you listened to Theo Vaughn's episode with Gretzky?
No, I don't listen to podcasts.
Dude, okay. As a hockey guy, you got to listen to it. It's actually freaking hilarious. Having Theo
How
Vaughn,
long does he have them?
I think it's like an hour and a half. It's a long time.
Cow. Yeah, I'll get on that one.
But it's Gretzky and it's Theo Vaughn, so it makes no sense, and it's absolutely hilarious.
I like it. I'll get on that one.
All right, so we'll put this one in to fishing perspective when you guys are on the road. Cooking or takeout?
Takeout.
Cooking.
NFL football or college football?
College.
Yeah, you're Minnesota, right?
SEC is about to see what OU's all about this year.
You guys are gonna get throttled.
Oh, you want to put some money on that? I think we got 9-3 only because we have one of the toughest schedules in the SEC. They give Texas the cupcake schedule, and they're going to be like, oh, I mean, we got Bama, Tennessee, LSU. I mean, but we're going to bring it. They're going to see what the Palace on the Prairie, the house that Bud built, historic Owen Field is all about.
You guys think the reign of terror for Bama is over now that Saban's gone?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they'll always be pretty dang good.
Yeah, they will be.
Any region that puts an emphasis on it will make sure that they're good.
Fair enough. All right, hot dog or hamburger?
Hamburger.
I'm a Glizzy fan.
Almost 40 and saying Glizzy. I don't even say Glizzy.
What? Am I not allowed to say that?
No, I just think it's funny. I've always found that trend of people calling it a Glizzy just fairly odd to me.
I'm a connoisseur.
Fair enough. Crappie or bass?
Bass.
Crappie.
Dang. Tequila or beer?
How did we win this tournament together, Bart?
Beer.
Yeah.
Yin and yang, baby. Yin and yang.
Good point.
Tell you what, I will tell you, Bailey, if you fish a team tournament with Panger, you just have to be prepared for half of your day is talking him off an emotional ledge.
No, it's not. Is it?
No. Every once in a while it is. He'll lose a fish and he immediately convinces himself it was a 5 or something, and then he'll slowly degrade back down to realism. You just have to be like, it's okay. The world isn't ending. We're all right. We will get bit again.
Imagine when I'm in an open by myself.
I was thinking of that.
That's funny. Well, Matt, tequila or beer?
That's an
beer.
and.
I don't know if I said, but beer.
Yeah, that's an and for me. Like, man, if I had to pick one, I'd probably margarita over beer.
Yeah, all right. Total side note, but I got this thing sent to me called have you guys ever heard of a flask cap?
I think I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
It's literally like you take a Yeti bottle, like a 16-ounce Yeti, and but it has a little smaller bottle in it that's attached to the cap. And
wait, like a Yeti like this?
Yeah, exactly like that. But it has more like the more water bottle-esque tops to it.
Okay.
And essentially you can put like, say you're a club soda and tequila guy and you're out like grilling, you can fill the thing with, soda water or whatever, and have the little bottle filled with like tequila. And you can click a button on the water bottle that opens the lid to the tequila. So you can have a mixed drink, or you can have just soda or just tequila. It's actually pretty freaking wild.
What's it called?
A flask cap. I'll send you a picture of it after this, but this place sent it to me. And
I just Googled it. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it's pretty dang cool. I have no affiliation with them, but it was my. I've been getting into grilling now that we have our own place for the most part.
It holds 6 ounces of your favorite liquor.
Yeah, it's like basically this size of this ibuprofen bottle. Like you fill that with whatever.
You need some ibuprofen after you get in touch with the flask cap.
One of those bottles and you're good. You could probably rock a tailgate with that thing.
Oh yeah,
total sidebar. But okay, last one, and then I got one more question. We'll let you guys go here. But ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
Blue cheese.
Thank you, Matt. Sorry, but anti-ranch.
Blue cheese is just way classier, Bart.
It's so bad. It's moldy cheese. What?
Have you ever had true buffalo wings with blue cheese though?
Yes, I don't like blue cheese. Blue cheese is terrible.
God, the city of Buffalo just hates you right now.
I'll eat buffalo sauce with no ranch.
Good luck doing a Crappie Chronicles in Syracuse.
Yeah.
Anywhere in New York. Buffalo.
Their crappies.
Yeah, you're done. You're going to insult their dip and their crappies?
Blue cheese sucks. Their buffalo sauce is amazing. Blue cheese is awful.
Okay.
I can't get behind it. All right.
The bitterness cuts through some of the burn. Like the bitterness of the blue cheese counteracts the the firiness
because you're a
of
pussy.
the
I
song.
like the burn.
Just throws it out. Oh, that's incredible. Gotta keep warm in the winter somehow, eh, Bart?
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So last question I got for you guys, and we'll wrap this sucker up. Is obviously you guys were tournament partners for this event, but say you go into St. Jude next year, you can't fish with each other. You can pick one person across the entire fishing industry to fish with. Who would you guys fish with?
Like, am I trying to win the tournament or am I trying
Corey
to
Howe.
have a good time? Yeah, shut up. I would have said Corey Howe.
I already picked him. He didn't say who went first. He's already taken.
I'll go with Brian. I'll go with his partner, Brian Harmon.
There you
He
go.
likes drinking beer.
Wait, do we have to go with like someone that we know that like is full time in the
You don't have
industry?
to. You don't have
I'm going
to.
with Corey.
For
I'm
people
going
who
with
don't know,
Corey.
Corey Houck and Brian Harmon have won like 4 Judes in the last 8 years. They are so good.
Fair enough. Well, okay. Let's put it in that perspective. One, give some guys some good clout, but now let's say like somebody you're not worried about winning, but you just want to share a boat with for the day for that tournament.
I've never fished with Mercer.
Oh, that would be a shenanigans.
I think it would be an event that would be super cool to experience with Polnick.
Oh, that's cool.
I think that would be really fun tournament to fish and just a good event doing that with him. So that's in terms of in the industry, that's who I would pick. Realistically, if I could pick someone to fish it with, in terms of like to team up and like go do it down there, I would love to fish it with Joel Willard.
Do you regret asking me 3 years ago, Bart?
No, we won.
I know, but
I never thought I'd win that tournament in my life. Like, dead serious, that tournament is so hard to win, dude. It's like Sturgeon Bay Open. Like, really, it is a hard tournament to win. And
it was the smoothest team
fun.
tournament victory I've ever experienced in my life. Like it just was one of those things that was just meant to be.
We legitimately did not believe we won when we checked in.
We didn't stress out at all during the days. No. Nothing. Like we just went
rolled
fishing
around, had fun.
When we were idling in, I told Bart, I was like, I literally don't think we left a fish on the table outside of one that may have helped, but we don't know. I was like, congratulations. I literally said, congratulations to whoever beat us, because I think you had a perfect game plan and we put everything that bit in the boat. And you're like, yeah, you go, it'll be my highest finish in Jude ever. That's what you said.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get a top 5. Yeah. It didn't hit me that we might win until we had weighed in. We were walking back down to the boat. Corey Houck and Brian Harmon went through. They only weighed like 17 or 18. And then Eric Ronigan and Jimmy Johnson went through, and they weighed a small bag too.
Not the football coach.
And then I looked at the weights were getting put in the Real Live Well app, so you could tell where they were at. And I like looked at the app, and Pangrac was getting my truck, and all of a sudden my stomach and my whole body got the absolute most anxiety I've ever gotten in my life. Because I looked at it and I went, "Oh my God, we're leading by like 2.5 pounds right now."
And that's why he started pounding beers.
Yeah, he backed in. I pulled up, and he went to like pull off by everybody, and I said, "Take us back to the back lot. Get out of here." And he did. Awesome. He drove us back to the lot, and I was like, "Dude, we need to grab a beer." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I think we actually might win."
My girlfriend was watching everything up at the weigh-in, and there were like 2 teams that had like almost 24, and we were like, "Yeah, no, they haven't weighed in yet." And she's like, "Yeah, they have." And then we were like, "Crap, we probably got to get up there."
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. That's cool though. Like, there's something about it that's cool when it's unexpected. You know, there's times obviously you can see it coming, but something like that, like Bart, you're literally saying, is you're taking out. You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, literally. Like, oh my God, I think we're gonna win, and I was still like, no way we're gonna win. I'd never win this.
I literally, like, I was sitting there, and like the last team that weighed in had like 14 something on the first day, and I was like, damn, they only need 29.
Yeah, like, the record bag for the record is $24.98, and I'm still like, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Like,
Someone's
they
gonna come
didn't
in
bite
with
at
5,
all, and
6,
the
or
whole
6,
time
5
I'm still like,
pounders.
no way.
Isn't that funny how there's some anglers? I mean, even this could be relative to sports though too. Like when it's not impossible, but like the chances of it happening are practically impossible, and that you're still just trying to like stay mentally in the zone of like, no, it could still happen. Like we could still lose this, even though like somebody comes in, you're on freaking Lake Norman.
Well,
Like, oh,
I'm
he's
like
40
that
pounds.
because, dude, like I've hung out with Steve Price and Wright and Louie and like all these riders who like over their careers always have like one horror story of where they told a guy that he won and then he didn't. Like behind stage, they were like getting all his details and like literally congratulating him on the Bassmaster win. And then like some dude comes from 9th and freak shows it and wins. And that guy's like, what the hell? Like he had already thought he had won. People had told him he had won and then he didn't. And they're like, dude, they'll never do that again. So that's like the media guy in me going, no, it's not like even possible until it's actually over.
Like, I didn't really fully believe we won until like that last team literally weighed in. And then we looked and we saw we were in first. And I still was like, there's got to be a correction or something.
Because then they huddled around up there for
I'm
20
like, something's
minutes.
wrong. There's no way. Who didn't weigh in?
That's awesome. Yeah, Matt, to your point on that, it brings up a funny story from the media side, but also with my full-time gig with PR and one of the brands that I work with, being Johnson Outdoors and Gussie, was we having to get in the the game where you got to get a jump on things, get prepped because you want things to come out in a timely manner. So I had the task of I had to talk to Gussie on day 2. We all know the day 3 that he had. So
when he
I
caught
had
2 fish for 4 pounds.
2 fish. And so day 2, I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna ask you simple and make this super fast. We're not gonna talk about tomorrow at all. I'm gonna get what I need from you, and then that's
because he wanted to have all the details as soon as it was apparent he was going to win, so you guys could boom, hit the ground running. Here's what he used, blah blah blah.
Exactly. So I think with us having the hockey background, it kind of helped understanding the whole superstition part and avoided that at all costs. But then I'm just sitting there that day 3, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like such an ass. He's coming in with 2 fish. He probably hates my guts right now. Thankfully he won, but could you imagine if he didn't? That would have.
Bailey, you want to know? You said superstition. It made me think of this. So Panger knows exactly where I'm going to go with this, but I'm slightly superstitious, and this has 100% fed into all of my superstitions of the river. So I am by no means a river expert. Those river rats are insane. They've beaten me a ton. But I've had a fair amount of success there over the last 4 or 5 years now, slowly putting it together, and now finally this. But the last 2 years at the St. Jude, like I had check streaks basically going on the river, and then Matt showed up, and I had always stayed in this hotel like 25, 30 minutes away from the ramp over in Wisconsin. And since Matt was coming, I was like, well, I want to hang around everybody and like have beers so we can be a part of the community and everything, So the last 2 years, we didn't cash checks. So I told him this year, I'm like, dude, I'm staying in my Podunk hotel in Wisconsin. Like, we're getting back to the roots. And then like he flew in and he stayed at the same hotel that my girlfriend was staying in a room with her friend. And I still was driving back.
I was with my girlfriend. Not
him. He was with his girlfriend. My girlfriend was staying. Yeah, that was a good clarity. He was staying with his girlfriend in a room. My girlfriend was staying with her friend in a different room. But that was good. Yes.
Flip it.
But they're staying at this hotel in Wabasha, and I'm still driving back to my Podunk hotel in Wisconsin because I'm going. Like after day like practice, I was like, it's going good. And then after day 1, I was like, it's still going good. And at the end of the day, after we won, I looked at him and I said, guess who's staying in Wisconsin from now on?
Yeah, so it comes true. That's
yeah,
funny, dude.
we're staying back there. The check streak is back.
Don't you hate that though? Because you're sitting there, you're like, in reality, you're probably like, this doesn't matter whatsoever. But at the same time, what if it does? So I have to do it. Like it's.
I
Just,
will say, dude, when I stay in Wisconsin, my brain gets way more river ratty. Like I start running places I should not run. I just get way more confident there. Like, I don't know. There's just something about it, just crossing the border and staying over on the Wisconsin side. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, fellas, I really appreciate you both taking the time out. Congrats on, one, all the money you guys raised for St. Jude's, but also the dub, man. That's big pimping there. That's something not to balk at. And it's people are hunting for your head next year now.
Yeah. Pangrac will just roll into town night before again, and we'll see what happens.
Do you even want me to practice with you if that's a possibility?
Not at
Really?
all. No.
Can
Now
I
you
bring
can do
my
the same
boat and
way,
just fish Pepin?
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, if you brought your own boat to practice, 100%. I think that's a great idea. I would love that. But like, we practiced the 1 year together and we did terrible.
We didn't do terrible. We had like 22 pounds the first day.
No.
Yeah,
That year you got
3
there.
years.
The first year you got there at like noon or 11 a.m. the last day of practice. I picked you up and said, this is the pattern I'm on.
In Pepin.
Drove you to a spot. You threw a jerkbait, caught a 4-pounder. And I said, yep, we're not fishing up here any morning. We need to go anymore. We need to go try to find some of these fish in the current. And then we fished for 3 hours, went in, and it was registration. The second year you came,
horrible spots that year, though.
Yes. Yeah, they were not there. They were bad spots. And then we went and fished.
And then last year, the fishing just sucked.
Last year it was in a weird
And it was
fall
cold.
transition. It was cold and yeah. But all of practice, we did not practice very much. I'm be completely honest.
Yeah, no. Okay.
He got
I'm down with whatever.
Like, hey, let's go to the board. Let's go get some lunch. And I'm like, okay. We just kind of go do that and watch football. And all of a sudden we're like, man, I don't really know where we should start.
Whatever you want from now on. Like, we're good. You want me to bring my boat up next year if I'm free? I can. I'll go terrorize the smallmouth in Pepin while you run the river.
Yeah. Yeah. I can give him a couple tasks and be like, just go handle this. But yeah, if you did that, that'd be fun. But otherwise, I'll just practice. I was by myself this year, and it turned out pretty good. So
I'd say you got to keep the.
Wait, you are gonna let me fish with you next year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was making sure.
You
I
got
thought I was kicking you to the side. Who would you even fish with, Frank?
I have no idea.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would have to raise more than you because I only know the 2 stretches.
I don't even know if you could get there.
50-50. It's 2 left.
No.
No, left. Wait, left.
Don't say this out loud.
Right. To get to that backwater? Yeah, no, I can't get there. I couldn't get there right now. I mean, I'd have to do a little research and figure out how to get to all of our spots.
That's awesome. Well, fellas, I appreciate you taking the time out to hop on here tonight, and it was good to catch up with you both, but also to learn about the St. Jude's, and hopefully we'll see a first ever capped out event next year.
Yeah, that's what I hope. That would be awesome.
That's impressive, Bailey. 2 hour and 20-minute show.
Yeah, we've been having a few of them now. Now that we're technically at 1 serious angler a week, but we split it in 2 and post it twice a week. So but yeah, 2-hour show. It's not bad. I appreciate you guys troopering through it. It was definitely a lot of fun talking about a whole bunch of random stuff. But appreciate you, boys.
Thanks for having us. It's good to be back.
Yeah. If you guys haven't and don't already, for whatever reason, check out Bart and Matt's socials down below, as well as links to the podcast, YouTube channels, things like that. In case you're not already, you should be. If you're not,
you post all that stuff in the description.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's a lot of work.
There's got to be incentive to bring a guest on because I don't pay anybody to do it, but I try to at least.
Neither do I. I just say like today's show is just like
for all
Matt
you
talks
guests
with Bart.
listening. If you haven't heard, Pass the Barb has a huge budget for bringing guests on, so we will pay you. Unlike the serious angler people, come on over. We'll have you.
And I don't even promote or pay.
Well, that's because you're BTL. You're top dog. Where Bart's over, you're playing with Monopoly money. Yeah, check out the
the number one outdoor podcast in the world. Haven't you heard?
You pay your guests?
Yeah, he sends Monopoly dollars.
It was a lot to get Aaron Weeb on.
Huh.
Do you actually pay your guests?
Do you?
I love how rattled you guys are right now. I don't know. Do I?
I actually had a conference totally on the topic. Here I am. Was trying to close it out 2 months ago.
We have the budget. We do not pay anybody.
I had a conversation with.
We don't have the budget either. That was a
lie. But on that topic, before we close out here, I did have a conversation about that of our anglers going to start requiring payment for coming on shows like that. Some of them said no, like in regard to some of it, no, but and some like if you're a classic champ and you get 75 plus requests for a podcast, that there might be some vetting or incentive needed because when you have so many different things to do, you gotta. Like when you get somebody, like my little crappy podcast that asks you to, and then BTL asks you, you're obviously going to prioritize the BTL over the small little crappy podcast. So it's
not really. I had a sponsor one time tell me that they value. They're like, listen, like you look at a podcast or a video that has 150 views on it as opposed to one that has whatever 8,000. And he's like, you know what? He goes, if that same person had gone to Bass Pro Shops or anywhere, and 150 people showed up to hear him talk, that is a massive smashing success. He goes, so I don't care how many views it gets, as long as it's quality content that is engaging and reflects positively upon the brands and companies that they represent. So he views 100 views just as much as a 10,000 view.
I love that. That's awesome. I think that's a great way to cap this sucker off before we find another tangent that will go on for another 30 minutes. And it is 10:30 here, and my butt needs to get to bed. I got to get up and work in the morning. But for real, boys, I appreciate y'all, and hopefully we can do this more. And definitely I'm serious about that, getting some of the more podcast media side involved in the St. Jude's event next year and have some little side competition. Have some fun with it.
Yeah, well,
yeah, for sure. We'll be in touch. We'll figure out a way to get you guys involved.
Awesome. Sounds good, boys. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you guys real soon.
See you, Bailey.
See you, Bailey. Thanks for the invite. Enjoyed it.
See you, fellas. All right, folks. That's going to wrap things up for tonight's show. Thank you again to the crew for joining. Obviously, again, we are captainless, and hopefully Andy will be back and feeling better for next week's show. But thank you to Garrett Paquette for joining us for the first portion. If you're listening to this on a Friday, check out the episode up from Tuesday with Garrett Paquette. It's on the MP3 side. But thank you to Adam Bartusek and Matt Pangrac for joining here. Long conversation, but really good to catch up with those guys. Bartusek's one that I never really get to see that often, if ever, honestly, through events, things like that. And he's kind of an OG, if you will, of Serious Angler from episode wise, but also being a part of fantasy fishing, and I'll give him full credit. Like the reason we partnered and had a relationship with Blackfish Gear is because of the connection with Adam. So big props to him. And, Matt is one I get to see for 5-10 minutes or so at a classic or an iCast, things like that. But both are usually rather busy and unfortunately don't get to spend that much time together, but is one that I look up to greatly in the industry and as a person. So it's good to get them back on here. And I know we've had them on some shows before, but always value that time. And it's always valued with you guys coming on and joining and watching, but also every guest that we get to get on here. So appreciate each and every one of you. Oh, and that reminds me, before I cap this off, we do have our Blackfish Gear winner for MP3. So if you stuck around for almost the 2.5 hours here, our winner for the Blackfish Gear Sun hoodies is, we have here the winner on Apple Podcasts. It is Creek Runner 01. So Creek Runner 01, I don't know if you're watching live or if, I'm assuming you're obviously on the podcast, you're an MP3 listener. But send us a email either at theserious.angler@gmail.com. It's in all of our show descriptions, whether it's YouTube or MP3. But send us an email or send us a DM on social media. You get to pick out which Sun hoodies you want, colors, sizes, and congratulations on winning that. And guys, we're gonna have many more Blackfish Gear giveaways throughout the year. They really stepped up big time for us in that regard. So we get to hook you guys up with top-notch gear for basically every condition throughout the year, and we'll spread it out for different things. As we get closer to fall, which I don't even want to think about fall in May. But we'll have more Sun hoodie stuff throughout summer. But when we get in the fall, we'll do some gloves and bibs and winter jackets, things like that. We're gonna do probably some rain gear next. So stay tuned for that stuff. We're gonna make it different for each giveaway to give you guys different chances to enter. And Blackfish Gear will not be the only ones that are going to be stepping up for a giveaway regard to give back to you guys. So appreciate y'all. If you guys have not gotten in your Lake Murray Bassmaster fantasy fishing picks yet, it's not late to do so. Event starts in 2 days. We had our fantasy fishing episode last night that previewed our picks. If you haven't listened to that yet, highly encourage you to. And then beyond that, we have had a great episode of Business from the Bass Boat yesterday that dropped with Rich Lindgren that was previewing some of the economic impacts of the Midwestern Bassmaster Opens, as well as talking about the fishing. I believe he's fishing that. If you guys don't know Rich Lindgren, he's hella bass. Does some great fantasy fishing stuff as well, but also just great fishing content in general. But nonetheless, appreciate y'all. Make sure you guys take advantage of some of the different sales and things like that we have going on through our show partners. Links are always down below for you guys to take advantage and save some money. And Jim, before I go here, we got a good comment from Jim. Breathable rain gear. Yes. So we're actually we'll do a couple different rain gear giveaways this year. We'll do one that's more for your, heavier, colder weather, which we'll probably do that as we get closer to the fall when some of those, fall storms come through. But we do have Blackfish Gear actually just dropped recently some new rain gear. It's basically a jacket and pants. So instead of bibs, it's actually pants, super lightweight. I was wearing this past weekend where it was 70 degrees and raining, and it was perfect. It's exactly what I need. It's kind of like almost like a windbreaker on top, if you will, but all waterproof, and the pants are perfect. So we'll have that be given away, I'm sure, next. But keep listening to these shows and follow us on social media. And you guys will obviously be up to date on when that stuff's being given away and how to win it. So appreciate each and every one of you guys. Share Serious Angler around. There's a lot of shows out there these days, and they're all do a great job. But appreciate each and every one of you that keep along and are loyal listeners or watch whatever you're from YouTube or MP3. But at this rate, I am just starting to ramble. But either way, I just want to say thank you guys. You guys are amazing. We'll see you all next week. Peace.